Good. Okay, then I will start. So, this is a retake of the number 3 tournament on my channel. Um, this time, all of the submissions will be run in a single pool. So, the first submission we have is Amma Vetera Fenka, made by Labs. It's comprised out of 2 5000 P capital ships. Then the second one is Mug's Vehement Fleet of Spinners, made by, well, Margakis or Mug. It's comprised out of 20 spinners of medium small size. The third submission is a Harmless Circle, made by Owl Feathers. It's a single ship, a giant spinner, which has a ring of armor around it and a relatively thin structure. Then we have the Pin Tire, made by Imperiex, another giant spinner, but this one is very solid. Then we have the Swarm by Komrad Ushanka. This is a fleet of over 100 tiny ships. Then we have the VC Cancer Brigade, which is a mixed fleet of spinners and distractors or fighters. Then we have Artillery, made by Konga, made out of 12 larger kind of artillery ships and a bunch of other smaller ones. Then we have Reno, Starship Final 3, which is made by Reno, and he's quite new to Reassembly, so this is not completely optimized, but we'll see how it will do. Then we have, I do not know what that is called, but a fleet made by Aurora, made up of one main capital ship and a bunch of distractors. The last one is Kachu, made by Fango, and it's built up of 5 rather large trappers. So I will start. So we start out with Laps versus Mug. This may be interesting. So Laps seems to be able to take the firepower of them and quite quickly deals with them. They did not seem to be an issue. The fleet of spinners is a nice submission, but it does simply not have the firepower to break larger enemies. Even though one of the capital ships died right now. Lap's ships have quite a weak point from the sides and back. It does still seem like he will win. The last one standing. Laps won. So now we'll have Laps's capital ship versus a Harmless Circle. This one can be interesting. The harmless circle seems to have a large issue with how it's stacked. Once one of the anchor points are broken, the stacked parts kind of dissolve the outer layer. So a failure in that design leads to loss. And now we have a very solid and large spinner versus Lepsis ships. It seems to do very well. Oh, good morning, Imperiex. Nice to have you. It seems that the pin tire will once again win. Unless some AI bugs happen. Oh, yeah, it did. It stopped spinning, and therefore all of that armor was useless. So it starts out well for the spinner. And it won. Currently, Lepsis ships are quite high up in terms of score. They have won most their battles. So this swarm, if they manage to hit Lepsis capital ships from the weak points on the sides, they have a chance to win. Yeah, the spinners seem to kind of stop sometimes once they are properly in range of the opponent. They only spin when they try to move. It seems that Laps will win this one unless something very bad happens to it. There is something I just noticed. Lap seems to have some kind of black armor blocks, but I think Veterans Challenge only has a single kind of armor. Oh no, it's probably just generators. Maybe he chose colors that made them completely black. Yeah, that's probably it. So it seems Laps will win this one without any casualties. Now we have Laps versus the VC Cancer Brigade. This may be a win to the VC Cancer Brigade, since they use a kind of swarm tactic compared to the capital ships. And they do not deal well with multiple enemies. Yeah, one down. That's true. The weapons he has are very good against large ships. But the twin cannon is much better against smaller enemies than the large caliber one, since their bullet velocity and fire rate is much higher. They also fire 2 bullets at a time. Ooh. So this one I'm not quite sure who is going to win. Konga's ships seem to be made to fight larger ships, but so is Lapsus. He seems to lack the sheer armor to take all that firepower. It's a win to Konga's fleet. Now we have Reno Starship Final 3. A kind of odd design, very shield heavy, but it simply lacks the defense. This kind of shows how weak shields are, especially the largest one of Veterans Challenge. That was a complete loss. Now this one is interesting. Aurora is made with the purpose to break any larger ships. And Laps doesn't deal well with swarms. Oh. A single burst from Aurora's ship is usually enough to break a ship by itself. Yeah, that was brutal. Now the trappers, made by Fango. With these ones I have no idea what to expect. Laps seem to lose though. Yeah, he did. Maybe this time? Oh. That was short. Now, spinners versus spinners. The harmless circle has those lasers, which are very effective at piercing through the hulls of these vehement spinners. If the spinners survive to attack the fragile side, no they didn't. They could have won there if they would have survived 2-3 seconds longer. It seems that the harmless circle will win again. Now another spinner versus spinner fight. And this one might turn out differently though. The Pintar lacks a lot of lasers, which were very helpful against these small yellow spinners. Oh, it started spinning. That's a disadvantage to the yellow. They could still win, but it's kind of hard. It seems like it will be a win for the Pintar. And it is. Those twin cannons are very useful against smaller enemies. They fire quickly and have a high bullet velocity. Now, a swarm versus almost a swarm. Mug's vehement fleet is leading a lot. It's a win for Mug. It does not really seem like the swarm can lose. It simply like the vehement fleet of spinners can lose here, because they have a lot more armor than the swarm. The swarm actually completely lacks armor, so it's very fragile. The lasers do also not do enough damage to break the armor fast on the vehement fleet of spinners. Now this one is interesting. Both are kind of similar fleets, but the Cancer Brigade focuses mostly on larger and more powerful spinners. They do also have factories. It does look like the VC Cancer Brigade is superior in this case. It's also replicating quite rapidly. Mug's vehement spinners seem to spin a bit too fast for their weapons. They can sometimes not properly aim, so they have to wait before they fire. That's a big issue, since they do potentially never get to fire. We can see that some of the spinners do not fire at all. So the win goes to Insane Asylum. Now we have the artillery versus Mug's vehement fleet of spinners. And Konga's fleet has impressive amounts of armor. That might be an issue for Mug. It does currently seem like artillery is leading. It has lost more ships, but the ships they have lost are mostly just the distractors and tiny spinners. But even those seem hard to kill. Okay then, Konga, that's fine. Your fleet does seem to do very well though. It has a good mix of armor and broken spinner distractors. The spinners seem very good at harassing enemies and actually finishing them off. The vehement fleet of spinners seems to have large issues with doing anything to the main ships from Konga's fleet. They are simply too durable, and they have one of those twin cannons as main armament. Only 2 are left, but they can't do anything against those tiny spinners. So the win did go to Konga. Now this one, I do not know what to expect. The shields fell quite fast, and it broke. It simply lacks the durability. Even these not all too strong attacks just rip through the shields and disassemble it. The Reno starship did manage to take out most of them though, I didn't even notice. That's odd. And surprising. Huh. It will actually win. Now it remains to be seen if it can do it once more. Likely not, but yeah, it's losing very crucial parts. Yeah, it lost. It was close though. Now we have Aurora's capital killer versus a fleet of spinners. It seems to deal quite well with the spinners, but it could maybe be surrounded. Not likely though. It's simply too agile and powerful to be defeated. I am surprised anyone managed to make a so fast ship with this faction. It's a very slow faction in general. So there are only 3 spinners left. I'm pretty sure the main ship will make sure to Warcraft them. And it did. Oh, it was surrounded, but then it began one-shotting everyone at once. That's quite amazing. It does probably have the main guns set to point defense, so that they can attack multiple targets at once. Yeah, it was surrounded and almost lost its shields, but then it just shot a giant burst of larger cannon shots at every spinner close range. So it kind of fought its way out of the surrounding. Surprisingly, spinners are not instantly a win, as the submission by Aurora shows. These last 2 are lasting for quite a long time. They don't seem to wanna die. It actually won by points. Now, the spinners versus the giant trappers. Aurora fought her way out of being surrounded. Did I maybe say the wrong thing? So the trappers seem to be very superior to Mug's vehement fleet of spinners. They seem like the kind of spinner which will be perfect against a bunch of smaller ships, but unfortunately most people made larger and bulky designs. Oh, there we have the thruster glitch. That spinner lacks its arms though, so it can't really damage. Well, Mug's spinners do quite often spin so fast that their weapons can't aim. So it's still fast enough for that. But they are not really fast spinners. All the cannons on the trapper arms seem to pierce the armor very well. That was a quick win. Now we have the two giant spinners versus each other. Yeah, there the... yeah, it evaporated. It is very fragile once its outer layer has been pierced. The Pintar will likely win this one. There the child died. This one can be interesting. All the lasers on the harmless circle will likely one-shot all of them though. They are very effective for this. I do not think the swarm managed to break a single armor block of the main craft. So it will likely lose. There are only two left. Yeah, that's true. The swarm was very slow. It took just almost 2 minutes for all of it to get to the circle. The circle is actually faster than the swarm, I think. Maybe. The ships made by Comrade Shanka do look quite nice. But their performance is... it could maybe work against a similar swarm fleet. But they simply don't have the damage to pierce armor, and they do not have the defense to take anything more than maybe one laser or one explosive cannon. So the victory goes to our feathers. It was quite a superior victory. Now we have the Cancer Brigade. These spinners have quite a lot of heavy weapons. If they can manage to break the outer layer of the harmless circle, they can win. True. It's a very odd looking spinner. It's not the usual spinner made up of boxes like the one Insane Asylum made. But the fact our feather spinner is made up like that makes it very fragile to being pierced. Yeah. It's fighting the cancer off though. I wonder if a design only using the lasers will be effective. Because as we see here, they are very powerful. At least in numbers. This one, I have no idea how it will go. The spinner is quite clearly loose to the lasers, but the main crafts, they are quite durable. Surprisingly, it looks like the harmless circle may win. Even if the artillery is made to break large targets like this. Now, once again, the AI bug. Um, the harmless circle has a big issue since the main cannons are placed in the middle. That makes it effectively have not all that much range outside of the hull. L feathers will win by points. The lasers simply slice through the spinners. Unless something odd happens, the harmless circle should win again. I wonder if the child survived. But this win will probably go to Alfedrus once again due to points. Oh. Yeah, very focused fire simply pierces the outer circle and defeats the ship completely. It kind of dissolves due to dead blocks then being stacked inside alive ones. And melee damage, yeah, it causes a chain reaction and it just falls apart. It's very exposed once it loses the outer circle. It might still recover, but not likely. Especially not when it loses almost all arms. Yeah, this is quite bad news. Yeah, that's the issue. Due to the armor being so heavily stacked, it just combusts when a bit of it breaks. I do not think Konga has any distractors left. Oh, it managed to take one out. Even though it lacks all of its armor. Konga will likely win by points. Owl has only 288 points left. Yeah, it's a win. Now this one, I do not expect much from the starship. The main cannons Owl Feathers has will likely do the job quickly. Yeah, it did actually seem the lasers did more than the cannons. Oh, it combusted at the end there. Now this one. Aurora ship is made to pierce. Yeah, that that was kind of expected. It was a quite fast win. Yeah, the win clearly goes to Aurora. This one might be odd. Fango has quite a bit of damage. Oh, it got through. Yeah, that's a fatal blow. It won't recover after this. Hopefully for Owl this doesn't repeat again. Oh, it combusted again. Owl Feather Spinner can't stop for a second, or else it will be pierced and simply lose. This one is the pin tire. It has one strength over Owl's design in that its armor doesn't combust once something touches it hard enough. But it lacks the lasers to deal with the swarm fast. And the cannons are kind of a bulky and slow way of doing it. But the swarm simply lacks the damage, so it doesn't matter if the Pintar manages to do it fast or slow. It's kind of just a slow job of picking off the swarm ships one by one. It doesn't really take much effort. So the wind goes to the pin tire. This one might go a bit differently. The pin tire does not have all that much firepower. Enough to break these, of course, but not enough to do it very fast. Imperial X will likely win by points due to the kind of bug where the AI stays at a longer range than it should. It doesn't spin. That's also an issue. It takes unnecessarily much damage in certain spots. It just lost half of its ring section. Oh, they might pierce the generators. It will be very beneficial. Ooh, they did. So if they can do that again, it doesn't have... oh, it lost by points. The twin cannon and the high caliber cannon both seem to be favorites in this tournament. They both have the same range, but twin cannon has some qualities that make it better in some ways. The pin tire will likely win by points again. But it doesn't spin, which is quite stupid. This is a very slow and uneventful fight. Oh, something happened. So the Pintar won this time. Now, this Konga's fleet is very damage heavy, so it could potentially do something here. Konga's fleet does seem to lack a lot of energy though. The main cannons are not firing as fast as possible at all. They can fire almost double as fast, I believe. Konga's fleet is so capable of taking out large and heavy targets that it seems like it will succeed. Yeah. It's really a good fleet against this kind of enemy, which prefers to try to tank the damage instead of dodge it. Yeah, more lasers would help against those spinners. The distractors are really harmful in this fight. The Pintar will probably easily break those large red ships, but the distractors are distracting it too much. Oh, it broke off, and it lost. This one is, yeah. The Reno starship simply lacks the armor, the defense. It does have the damage, but it's also unable to kite due to an almost complete lack of backwards thrust. This one... Oh. Yeah, that plasma ball it launches, it kind of goes through. Yeah, a maximum of 2 shots needed. And now we have the giant trappers versus Pintire. One trapper died already. The Pintire might lose due to AI stupidity or the fact Fango has weapons very far in front compared to the core. Yeah, that's what happened. They do almost seem more like very good weapon carriers rather than trappers, since they have the core so far in the back. Yeah. If we see there, that trapper could have died long ago, but it didn't, due to the core being so far back. So, my expectations are that the swarm has too little damage to go through the spinners efficiently. And the spinners simply have too much weapons for the swarm to take it. The swarm has quite clearly lost. The swarm is very good at taking out those smaller fighters though. The swarm dies so fast. Oh, the swarm versus Konga's fleet. Yeah, those spinners finally died to something. They have kind of been annoying to most other fleets. But here the giant red ships are the issue. Once again, the swarm simply lacks the firepower. The lasers do quite little damage per second. Their strength lies in the fact they are very pulsed, so once they first fire they do a okay amount of damage. Yeah, it seems like your fleet Kogga is quite capable of defeating any kind of swarm. It doesn't matter that a swarm is hard to hit if your own ships are so durable that they can't harm it. Well, true. Expect a swarm of your spinners could work. Oh, this is maybe a chance for the Reno ship to win. Maybe. The shields seem to have quite large issues with keeping up with the damage. No! Okay then. The swarm won against the capital ship. That's great, I guess. Oh, they do? That will mean they are quite resilient to any kind of swarm. Yeah, your fleet seemed to be very strong against swarms and large amount of enemies. Sadly, the Reno starship does not seem able to block all these lasers. There are in total over 200 lasers, so I guess it's to be expected if you are based around shields. It might win now though. The starship has a large issue where if one part breaks, a whole section of the ship just breaks loose. This one, I have no idea what to expect. Except the fact that those small distractors will simply die. Okay, I guess the armor Aurora has is strong enough to stop this. It seems that a good strategy in this tournament was actually to spam a lot of shields. They are quite cheap and actually quite good for the cost. Oh, it lost all of its outer armor. Maybe the fleet has a chance now. Not probable though. The main ship of Aurora, if you look at it, look at how much it spread its fire. it targets 20 swarm ships at once, so it does not really use much time to finish all of them off. There's only one left. It's clearly lost, but yeah. Now the swarm ship versus the trappers. The trappers may lose if engaged from the back, but that is likely not going to happen. Not efficiently anyways. One of them almost died. Not quite though, so... Ooh. One of those trappers lost a whole arm. It actually lost both. It does still seem like it will survive though. Is there any chance the Cancer Brigade can win over the artillery fleet? It does have the damage, I think, and the armor. Maybe not. It is losing quite rapidly. I think the artillery fleet will likely win by points or total annihilation. It still remains to be seen though. It has replicated quite a bit, which makes it harder to pick off the actual true ships. Konga won, at least the first round. There isn't much that can go wrong for Konga really. There is no complicated or very situation specific design used here. It's kind of just raw, bulky firepower. AI can't really screw up with these red ships. But the spinners, for instance, can stop spinning due to AI stupidity. Conga has no such issues though. It seems that the VC Cancer Brigade has recovered a bit due to factories, but it probably won't be enough to finish the fight with Konga before it ends. And well, Konga's fleet has also replicated. Konga's fleet has an issue with not really being able to turn though. So once they are moved in a way where they will move from the enemy, they are not able to turn back. Now we have the Cancer Brigade versus the Starship. The Starship is a design made by someone who is not an expert in reassembly, but it has been doing quite well considering that. It will probably not win here. Yeah, it died. Well, it's true you don't need to turn, but if one of your red ships are left alone in the middle of the enemy fleet and all the others don't help out firing, then the fleet will be a bit less efficient, I would believe. It's better if all of your ships are at the scene at the same time. Now this one, made by Aurora. I kind of expect it to win due to how good it has been, unless something very bad happens. The shields are still actually strong enough to keep away the damage. You can almost always make a design more efficient though, Konga. But yeah, they do win, so that probably means they are quite efficient at what they do. I wonder how the ship made Aurora by Aurora will do against them though. Oh, it's losing its shields. Oh. When the main ship from Aurora's fleet dies, the whole fleet is kind of doomed. The main ship can be surrounded and confused. It's hard though, due to the cannons firing at every enemy close by at once. Aurora should hope this doesn't happen again. It probably won't, due to so many spinners already being dead, but the ship should be careful. It does lack armor right now. Aurora will probably win this time. There is no real question. Yeah, the Aurora ship is quite impressive. It has 2 layers of defense, so it has the armor as initial defense, but the shields are able to keep off the damage by themselves. And it's very fast. I did not expect anyone to make such fast Veterans Challenge ships due to how weak the thrusters are. But I guess she made it and it works really well. There is a bug currently where ally ships can fire through allied wreckage, and it has led to some unfair advantages in this tournament. It should be fixed as quickly as possible. Yeah, in terms of Duke, I'm actually quite surprised he didn't join this tournament. It seems like the exact kind of tournament he would love to join in, since it has so few restrictions and a large lot of P. So here we have Konga versus Reno. I will be surprised if Konga loses. Now we have Konga versus Aurora. Two of those fleets I expect could win, and I'm unsure. Oh. Konga's fleet seems quite capable of taking out Aurora. Now we know this. That was quite quick. Now let's see if the ship manages to be a bit more smart. I think the distractors are messing with it. It has very few shields left up. It's vulnerable. Very vulnerable right now. It blew up. So now we only have this distractor left. Yeah, now we don't. I wonder if Fangao can defeat Konga's fleet, because it's a very durable one. One of the trappers are almost completely gone, and the second one is dead. They did utilize the long-range cannon quite well. Well, Fanga's designs are very effective against almost any ships, really. We have seen it win against the giant spinners, single ships, and swarms. So it's good. Huh. Fangao won. This is the deciding battle between Tango and Congo. First it has to take care of the spinners. They are very distracting. Fango will likely take this victory, unless a whole another trapper dies. Yeah, now there is some pressure for him to do quite a bit of damage. Fango's ships seem to be very good at supporting each other. When someone gets behind one of them. The win did go to Tango again. Now we have Reno versus Aurora. I think we know who will win. Yeah. It doesn't take much to win against this ship, does it? Aurora's ship is doing something stupid right now though. Kind of just flying around. Still won though. Yeah, it lost. The catch-through by Fango is very effective, as I have mentioned, but the Reno starship isn't the best. Now, here we'll see who can win. I would expect it to be possible for Aurora to win, but it's kind of dependent on how smart the AI is. So if it keeps picking off them one by one, then it will win. But if it tries to attack too much at once... Okay, there is only one gun army left. That's not enough. Oh, um, that single trapper somehow managed to defeat Aurora. That was unexpected. I wonder why literally all of the distractors did go to the same exact spot. Aurora's design is quite brutal when it does what it's supposed to do, but it doesn't always do that. But it still won. Well, the victors were quite even. All of them got exactly 8 wins. So I guess there are 3 people in first place. It was an interesting tournament with a large variety of designs, and people were creative. So this concludes the 3rd tournament hosted by me and the first modded one. I will return in not too long with another tournament. But yeah, this was a quite good run. Thank you all for all your submissions, and I hope you enjoyed.